Hello again everyone from Tokyo, Japan, and welcome back to Japan Vintage Camera, where tonight we're going to be having a look at a really interesting camera and one which has long been a favorite of film shooters around the world, and that is the Olympus Om SLR camera. The Olympus Om was introduced in 1972, and it was designed by Mr. Yoshihisa Maitani, who was the top designer at the Olympus Camera Company. Olympus and Maitani decided that there was probably a good market for a pro-level SLR system camera, but without the pro-level size and weight. The top pro camera of that time was the Nikon F2, and in Japan, the most popular pro-level camera was the Canon F1. And anyone who owns these cameras know that they're quite big and bulky, especially when you begin to add the accessories onto them. The OM series was designed by Mr. Maitani to mimic the Leica M series. In an earlier era, the Leica rangefinder camera was the choice of professional 35mm photographers. And it was kind of abandoned because of the new technology which SLR cameras introduced. And Maitani was able to kind of meld the two different types of cameras together, having the compactness and smooth and quiet operation of a rangefinder camera, but with the modern features which came with an SLR camera. The Olympus Om is very similar to other SLR cameras in appearance, but there are some big differences. When you look at it, a quick look at it, it looks just like any other SLR camera, which you would find made by Nikon, Canon, or Pentax, or Minolta. But as you look closer, you begin to notice some differences. On this side, this is a pretty typical, an ordinary film rewind knob. The switch which you use to power the light meter. A socket here where you can attach a shoe for a strobe flash. This dial here, which looks like a shutter speed dial button, is not. It is actually the button where you select the film speed. And you select the film speed by pushing down on the lock button next to it and then turning the dial till you get the film speed, which matches what you have loaded in your camera. And we have the shutter cocking and film winding lever and the shutter release button. We have a lot of controls on the front of the camera compared to other SLR cameras. On the front of the body of the camera, we have the self-timer on the bottom, and we have the release lever to allow you to rewind the film. This is in the same spot you would find on a Leica camera. We have a mirror lockup button. Now, Olympus didn't make any lenses which reach deep inside and required a mirror lockup. The lockup was used for taking vibration-free photos. If you mount the camera on a tripod and you need a really precise shot with a minimum of vibration, you could lock up the mirror, and that would stop the mirror slap from possibly blurring your photo. And on the other side here, we have a socket for flash sync cord. To make the camera more compact, some other changes in the design were necessary, and mainly that was moving the shutter speed dial to the front of the camera instead of being on the top. This is actually a pretty convenient way. Some Nikon cameras, earlier cameras, had the same system, and it was pretty neat to be able to adjust your shutter speeds without taking your hand off the lens. To make the camera smaller, a couple of other features were removed from the Canon camera body and they were put onto the lens body. Namely, the depth of field preview button, instead of being on the front like a Nikon or Canon camera, is actually on the lens. And also the release button to dismount the lenses here on the base of the lens. And you have the aperture settings located on the front. The lenses are quite compact and they are superb performers. They don't give up anything to Nikon or Canon lenses when it comes to terms of performance, despite their more compact size. Olympus lenses used a standard 49mm filter size. Nikon's standard size was bigger with a 52mm, and Canon's was a 55mm. The smaller size makes the camera more easy to handle, and other accessories like lens hoods and things are also smaller. And all these things give you a more compact and lightweight package to shoot with. I really love the OM series cameras. Just like the rangefinder camera, they're really, really smooth and very, very quiet. The The viewfinder in these is amazing. It's one of the best viewfinders you'll find in any SLR camera, and it beats out even more modern digital cameras as far as what you can see and how bright it is. Like other pro-level SLR cameras, it offers interchangeable focusing screens, so you can change the screens for different photographic purposes. Later OM cameras came with access holes and contacts for motor drive or power winder. This is an earlier one, so it doesn't have these contacts. The later ones you can identify easily. Many of them have a sticker here which says MD, and that means motor drive, or you simply look at the bottom of the camera and see if you can find the electrical contacts and the cover for the motor drive mechanism. Overall, these are wonderful cameras, and if you like SLR cameras and you want one which is an amazing performer and a good value, it's really hard to beat the OM1. As far as lenses go, the lens on this camera is my favorite of the Olympus OM lenses, and that's just the lowly, inexpensive, and easy to find 50mm f1.8 lens. I've shot a lot of lenses on these cameras. Other favorites, I love the 21mm f3.5. I love the 55mm f1.2, especially the ones that have the really gold cast to the lens. That adds a bit of contrast to my monochrome shooting, and it tends to warm up the colors. I really love how that one works. And I also love the 90mm f2 macro lens. If I could have only a 3-lens system, would be the 21mm f3.5, the 50mm f1.8, and the 90 f2 macro. Unfortunately, the macro lens is quite expensive, but the other ones you can find reasonably. Anyway, that's my review of the Olympus OM1. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to post them below. If you like the video, please click the like button, and if you want to see more videos, more cameras in the future, please subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and we hope you come back to visit us again.